Okay, so now we move on to the next part of the lesson. Actually, the most important part of the lesson. We are learning now how to calculate the least square linear regression line. Or in other words, we are learning how to calculate the line of best fit. Okay, so we are learning how to actually calculate. So the least square regression line is the line that minimizes the sum of the squares of the residuals. Guys, the meaning of residual here means actually residuals here means the error. Can you see? Now, if you look at the scatter plot here, the scatter plot, the crosses show the actual data. Okay, in real data, it doesn't always come perfectly in a straight line, right? So the points are scattered. So then what the line of best fit, what it does is it tries to go through these points by minimizing the error. Now the error here, can you see this epsilon 1, epsilon 2, they've marked here with certain these Greek letters. These are Greek letters. Okay, epsilon is a Greek letter, so don't worry about it. It just shows you the error. The height difference is the error. The error between the actual y value and the y value you get from the straight line gives the predicted y value. Are you with me, guys? This straight line gives you the prediction, while the actual y value here is above. Now, if you check the second point, the predicted y value is above and the actual y value is below. Can you see? In the third point, the predicted y value. Prediction means on the straight line. Okay, the predicted y value is down, is below, and the actual y value is up. So in the fourth point, you can see the prediction. On the graph, the prediction is up and the actual y is down. So what this line of regression, what it tries to do is, guys, it's trying to minimize these errors. It's trying to keep this height. It's trying to balance this height as much as possible. Okay, so that's why they say the least square regression line is a line that minimizes the sum of the squares of the residual. So it's actually it's getting the addition of the squares of the residual. Okay, actually, you don't need to, go much into that. So they are actually adding the squares of the residual. So they add epsilon 1 square, epsilon 2 square. That's what they do. Okay, and then epsilon 3 square. Likewise, they take all these points, get the errors, and they try to get the smallest, this answer. So let's say this is the final one. They try to minimize this answer. Okay, so you don't need to go into technical details. Okay, so we are not going to go into that, and it's not actually necessary at this stage. Okay, so I'll directly give you the rules. Okay, so anyway, so we'll come here. So you need to be able to find the equation of a least square regression line either by using raw data or by using summary statistics. Okay, so this is what we are interested in. So the equation of the regression line of y on x is y equal a plus bx. I think I gave you this guy, right? Previously also I told you the regression line is given as y equal a plus bx. A is the intercept, b is the gradient. And guys, now this is the most important part, and now we learn actually how to get the intercept and the gradient. So they are telling you the b value. First, you get the gradient by using something called Sxy over Sxx. Okay, so don't worry. And A is given by, the intercept is given by using y bar minus b times x bar. Okay, so let's see how it's done. Who is Sxy and who is Sxx? Given to you guys. Can you see? So Sxy is given as sigma xy minus sigma x sigma y over n. And Sxx is given as sigma x square minus sigma x whole thing square over n. And Syy is sigma y square minus sigma y whole thing square over n. Now, don't worry about this. Okay, so when you look at this, this might look a little bit big and a little bit scary, but it's not at all difficult. Okay, it's really easy. You just have to plug in your data points into this equation. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so it's really easy. All you need to know is that these equations exist, and you must know know what Sxy, what it's the equation. So you need to know this equation. Actually, it's given to you in your formula book as well. So all you have to do in the exam is to input your raw data, okay, into this equation, and then actually calculate Sx by Sx. So I will show you how to do that in an example. Okay, guys. So now let's start with a very simple example. Okay, so we'll start with a very simple example and move on to the more complicated ones. Okay. So exercise 5C question number 1, they say the equation of a regression line in the form y equal a plus bx is to be found. Okay, so you have to find it. Given that Sxx is 15, Sxy is 90, xy is 3, and y bar is 15, work out the values of a and b. So guys, they have given you everything. So you don't really have to do any rigorous work here. So it's actually easy, right? So first thing is to get the b value. What's your b value? D is equal to Sxy over Sxx. So Sxy is 90 over Sxx is 15, right guys? Can you see? Just substitute the values into the equation. So we will be going into more rigorous work soon. So this is just a very simple example. 90 divided by 15 is 6, right guys? And then let's get the A value. A is the intercept. A equals y bar minus bx bar. So how do you find that? Y bar is given to you here, right? Y bar is the average y. Okay, so y bar is 15. B value we found. Okay, B value is 6, which I found over here, into x bar. X bar is 3. So guys, 15 minus 6 times 3 is 18, right? So 15 minus 18, A is minus 3. Are you guys with me? So that's really easy. And now all you got to do is substitute the values into y equal A plus B. So y equal A is minus 3 plus B is 6x. Y equal minus 3 plus 6x. All right, guys. Okay, guys. So next time, moving on to the same exercise, I'll move on to question number 5. And here I'm going to show you the rigorous proof how to actually get in depth and use these equations. Okay, so they have given you the data in the table. So the x and y values are given in a table. They are asking you now to calculate Sxx and Sxy. So this is the most anticipated part, right? Okay, so let's write down what is Sxx. So Sxx is sigma x square minus sigma x within a bracket and the whole thing square divided by n. Okay. So guys, what's the meaning of these stuff? So these are really, really simple. So sigma x square means, guys, okay, sigma means to add, right? All of you know the meaning of sigma. This is the summation mark. Summation mark means you're supposed to add. And what are you supposed to add? You're supposed to add the square of the x values. So guys, what are our x values here? Our x values are 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, right? So you're supposed to add the square of this equation. 2 square, 4 square, 5 square, 8 square, 10 square. Can you see? This is what it means to take the value of sigma x square. Can you all understand? This is what it means to get the value of sigma x square. Every single x value is squared and then added. Can I know the answer here? Okay, guys, so this is a really simple one. You add everything in the cal, you get 209. This should be pretty clear, right? Okay, this guy is done. The next one is sigma x bracket whole thing square. So guys, first what you do is get sigma x. Okay, because inside the bracket you have sigma x. Who is sigma x? Sigma x is 2, 4, 5, 8, 10. So add all of them, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10. So first you add all the x values. This is sigma x. Get the addition. What's the addition? So this is 29. Simply add it. And the thing is, you're supposed to what? Take the sigma x and then square it, guys. So that's the meaning. That's why the square is outside the bracket. Can you see? Now over here, the power 2 was not used in the context of a bracket because over here, the power 2 was directly applied on x. But over here, the power 2 is applied after the bracket. Can you all understand? That's the major difference in between these two. So over here, when the power 2 is just applied to x, it means the x is directly getting squared. That's why I squared the x values directly here. But over here, the power 2 is applied for the whole of sigma x. That means you get the sigma x value and then you square it. Okay, guys, so that's really important. So this is the meaning of sigma x bracket and square. That means you square your 29. All right, guys, so that's really important. Make sure you clearly understand the difference in between these signs. So 29 square is 841, right, guys? That's 841. And then n here. N here is simply the number of data points. So how many data points do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're using 5 data points, right? We have 5 pairs of x and y. So n is 5. Okay, guys. So over here, your n value is 5. So let's substitute the values now. Okay, so sigma x square is 209 minus sigma x is 29 whole thing square over n is 9. Do you agree, guys? Okay, so let's get the answer. This is the Sxx answer. Guys, n should be 5 here, right? Not 9. Okay, n should be 5 here. 209 minus 29 square over 5. So get the answer here with the cal. Type the whole thing in the cal. Get the Sxx value. So guys, we get here 40.8. Okay, now I really want you to, now over here we get an exact figure, but sometimes there's chance you'll get, recurring decimal. So in that case, go for the fraction. Okay, because we need to keep things, take it to a higher significance as much as possible. Take all the decimals. If there are recurring decimals, try to get the fraction. Okay. Okay, so Sxx is done. Now we go for Sxy. So let's write the Sxy equation. So who is Sxy? Sxy is sigma xy, right guys? Sigma xy minus sigma x times sigma y over n. Minus sigma x times sigma y over n. Okay guys, so how do we get sigma xy? So it's really simple. So sigma xy means now summation. The sigma means to add. Okay, so you are supposed to add the products. The product of x and y. So what's the product of x and y? Who is the first one? The first data point is 2. X is 2, y is 3, right? So get the product. So first one is 2 times 3. Multiply the x value with its respective y value. And then you add. Because summation means to add. And then you add, and the next one 4 times 7. Can you see guys, every single data point on the table, the x and y value should be multiplied. Next one 5 times 8. Plus the next one 8 times 13. Plus the next one 10 times 17. Can you see guys? So this is sigma xy. That's very clear, right? You multiply x value with its respective y value, get the product and get the sums of the products. That is called sigma xy. So what's the answer? All right, guys. So sigma xy is 348. Okay, and then you also need sigma x and you also need sigma y. Okay, sigma x, I think you can see, simply add the x values. I think we have that. Sigma x is 29. We found that already. Can I have sigma y? So what is sigma y? You add the y values. So y values are 3. So you add the 3, 7, 8, 13 and 17. Can you see? 3, 7, 8, 13 and 17. So you add all the y values. 3, 7, 8, 13, 17. Add the y values and get sigma y. That is what you mean by sigma y. And how much is that? That is 48. All right, guys. So let's substitute the values now. We have everything. Sigma y is 48. So let's substitute. Sigma xy is 348 minus sigma x is 29 times sigma y is 48 divided by n. Guys, n, remember n doesn't double now, okay? So n is actually the number of data points because every single x comma y is a single point on the scatter plot. Do you recall? So these are single points on the scatter plot. So you have 5 individual points on the scatter plot. So we are getting the regression line based on 5 individual points on our scatter plot. Okay. So xy is a coordinate, a single coordinate. Every single xy is a single coordinate. So that is n is 5. So be very careful. Okay, so what's the Sxy answer? Once again, I would prefer try to get the exact answer. If it comes as a recurring decimal, try to get it as a fraction, or else make sure you have the full value saved in the cap. So 69.6, is that correct? So 69.6 is an exact figure. Okay, so here you don't have any problems of recurring decimals. So leave this. Okay, so we have the Sxx and Sxy done. Part A is done. And then they ask you in part B, find the equation of the regression line of y on x in the form y equal a plus bx. So to get the regression line, what do you need? You need the intercept and the gradient. So how do you get the intercept gradient? It's given to you here. The b and a value calculation is very clearly given to you. So b is found as Sxy over Sxx. Let's do that, guys. So moving on to part B, they say the gradient B is Sxy over Sxx. You're directly allowed to use it. So who is Sxy? That's 69.6 divided by Sxx is 40.8. So guys, once again, get the full answer. So if you are getting a recurring answer, try to get it as a fraction if possible, or else get the full answer. So what's the answer here? So guys, when you use it in the cal, you can get the answer exact 29 over 17 or this decimal, okay? So as I keep on telling you, get the full values, okay? Get the full values. So B is done. Now going on to A. So who is A? So A equation I've given it to you, y bar minus bx bar, right guys? A is y bar minus bx bar. Okay, who is y bar? Guys, in chapter 1, we've given you the equation for x bar. Do you remember x bar is sigma x over n? This is in chapter 2. That is chapter 2. X bar is the average, right? Simply sigma x over n. Y bar is sigma y over n. Isn't it, guys? So I already know sigma x, right? Sigma x is 29 over n is 5. Sigma y is 48 over n is 5. So, and get the answer. So what is your x bar and y bar? So now we got the x bar, y bar values. Let's substitute. A equal y bar is 48 over 5, or you can use the 9.6. Since they're exact decimals, I don't mind going with decimals, okay? But if they were recurring, I would go with the fraction, okay? B value, since B is a recurring, a large decimal and infinite decimal, I'll go with 29 over 17 so that I have the full figure, okay? 29 over 17 into x bar. X bar is 5.8, guys. X bar is 5.8, okay? So let's get the A value. So get the A value. What's the answer for A? So you will probably get a long decimal. So let's get the answer. All right, guys. I think you get something like this, right? Or else, if you prefer, I think the calculator gives me a decimal when I type like this. But if you give the fraction answer here, okay, so A equal y bar. So for y bar, instead of 9.6, if you use 48 over 5, minus b is 29 over 17 into x bar 5.8 is 29 over 5, right guys? So if you type like this, I'm capable of getting the exact fraction answer in the cal as minus 5 over 17. So minus 5 over 17 is the exact same figure here. But when I give the decimals in this particular cal, it doesn't convert this to a fraction. Okay, so, but anyway, okay, it doesn't matter which way you do this, the answers are the same. Okay, so minus 5 over 17 is this particular decimal. Okay, so anyway, it's better to know the full figures. Okay, so anyway, if you are not getting, in an event that you don't get a fraction, that's perfectly fine. Just have the full figure so that when you're going forward to the next part, you work with the full figure. Okay, so that's really important. Okay, so then we'll write the answer for the regression line. So what's the regression line equation? So regression line equation will be y equal a plus bx, right guys? So when you're substituting values to the regression line, by the way, now for a, you can make it a 3SF and use. Okay, so you give the AB values to 3SF. Okay, but when you are using the regression line for further to give prediction, you will be using the A as the full figure. Okay, so I'm giving it for through. So A is minus 0.294 plus B value was that I'm correcting the 3SF. Okay, so what was our B value? B is 1.70, 1.71 3SF. 1.71x. So this is corrected to 3SF. Okay, guys, I'm writing the regression line. The AB value is corrected to 3SF, but we will be, so it can change, or I will probably be using the exact AB values when I'm going for prediction. Okay, so just have that in mind. Okay, so this is the regression line of y on x. All right, guys. Okay, guys. So before I move on to the next one, I want to show you something interesting here. Now, I told you that we were getting the sigma x square, sigma x, the sigma x y. So we were doing this all manually, right? So we have a few, of course, in this table, there are only 5 data points. So it's not much of an issue. But if you have a table with maybe 10, 15, 20 data points, you know that getting all of this is going to be really a time consuming process, right? Because over here we have few data points, it was easily done. But what if you have, a lot of data points and you want to get these answers quite easily? Okay, so there is a way to get it done in the cal. So let me show you how it's done. So every calculator should have that. So I'm using this particular type of cal. So I'm going to show you how to get the answer in this type of cal. Okay. So every cal should have this particular function. You just need to find the way to activate it. Okay. So over here, what you do is first you need to change the mode. Okay. So sorry. So first I'm going to give the mode, and in the mode, so just press the mode button and you have several modes in your cal. So you have to make sure your cal is in the stat mode. Okay, so in my case, stat mode is in number 3. So I'm going to give 3 and I'm going to enable stat mode. So when I give the stat mode, guys, I'm going to see all these options. Okay, so in the option, I need to go to the type of A plus BX because we are going to go for regression line. So I need to have A plus BX. Can you see our type? We are dealing with A plus BX here, right? So we need to choose a plus bx. So give number 2 and give a plus bx, and immediately you should get a vector with xy columns in your calc. Right, guys? So this is the first thing to do. I hope everyone can find this particular option in your calc. Okay, so after you come to this point, guys, it's really easy. Give your x values, give the input. So first x value is x is 2, so press the equal mark. Can you see? It takes it as a vector. So x is 2, the next x value is 4. So give the values in the table. 2, 4, 5, 8, 10. The next one is 5, 8, 10. Can you see, guys? 2, 4, 5, 8, 10. Okay, so then you press the arrow mark and you can see, you can check your values. Can you see 2, 4, 5, 8, 10? You can check them. Okay, and then give the arrow and you go to the other side. Go to the other side vector y, and now give the y values. Make sure your inputs are given correctly. So this is 3, 7, 8, 13, 17. Okay, so make yeah, so I'm giving both the x and y vectors. Okay, so every calculator should have this particular function where you should be capable of giving the values in the calc, right? So you just need to find the mode, set to stat mode, and come to this point. All right, guys, did you give the x and y? So guys, after you now make sure you give your inputs correctly, because if your input is wrong, everything you do will definitely be wrong. Okay, so make sure you check your double check your answers. Okay, the x y answers should be checked. So after you're done with that, guys, okay, you can press the you can even press the AC button. As long as you don't change the mode in the cal, your data will be stored in the cal. And you can see now on top of the cal, you have an extra thing here called stat. Can you see? So on top of the cal, it's now in stat mode. Okay, so you will see this STAT on the screen now because it's in stat mode. So don't change the mode, because if you change the mode, you will lose the data. Okay, so now what you need to do here is press the shift. Okay, and you can see on top in my cal on top of number 1, I can see the stat here. Can you see the stat and comma distribution? So when I press the shift, it activates the stat mode. So I press shift and 1. Can you guys see? When I press shift and this one over here, I go to the options. I get all the stuff I need to do in the stat mode. And over here, guys, if you press number 2, I can go to my data. Can you see? When I press number 2, the data, I can see, I can find my inputs. Can you see? I can find my inputs. So let me show that again. I press the AC button. I go to shift and I go to 1 here. Shift and 1. Okay, so wherever you have the stat functions in your cal, just go there. And if you give data number 2 and go for data, you can see the data you just input. So now what I want is I want to get the summary statistics. I'm going to go to number 3. Can you see number 3? They give the sum. And guys, you have everything you require here. Can you see sigma x square, sigma y square, sigma xy? Everything is there. Everything that you possibly require is over here. Sigma x, sigma y. Can you see? So you don't have to find them one by one. Okay, so sigma x square is number 1. So if I press number 1 and get sigma x square and give equal, guys, I get 209. The exact answer I got over here. Can you see? I get the 209. Can you guys see? Okay, and then again, so how do you go to that place again? Just press shift. Always you have to press shift and you have to press 1. Okay, in my cell, and I go to number 3 sum. Okay, so I got sigma x square. What else do I need? I need sigma x. Number 2 is sigma x. Sigma x, and press the equal, and sigma x is 29. Can you guys see? So you don't have to calculate them one by one. You can get all the summary statistics directly from the calc. Okay, guys, press the AC button again, shift. You press this 1 and I go to the sum, and then I can get the y, fourth one, sigma y. And you see sigma y is 48. See, I get that. Again, I press shift and I press 1 and I go to the summary statistics and I go sigma xy, number 5, sigma xy. Okay, and I get 348. Is that the answer we got? Yeah, sigma xy is 348. All right, guys. So don't go to use more shortcuts than this, because I think you might be able to get the more stuff from here. But what I suggest you do is use the summary statistics to get these values. Get the sigma x square, get sigma x, get sigma y, get sigma xy, get those 4 values only. Okay, because in the other options you might find more stuff. Okay, so get those values and make sure you substitute those values to the equation, because you will be receiving marks for this. This is where you will be receiving marks. So you use the cal to get these answers directly. You don't have to, square and waste your time. get these answers directly. These guys, sigma x square, sigma xy, and sigma y. Get these four answers directly. Like you just directly write it by using the cal, and then substitute those values to this equation, and make sure you show your substitution because that's where you get method marks. Okay, do not directly write Sx is 40.8. Don't do that. Don't directly write the answers 40.8. Make sure you substitute and show. I mean, these parts here are compulsory. Where you substitute the x squares to 209 minus 29 square over 5. So that's a method mark. Make sure you show this method step. Okay. Do not skip that. Okay, so b is sxy over sxx. So make sure you show all. Now these workings you cannot skip them. Okay, so the only part that you're allowed to skip is this. This, please use the shortcut. That's fine. But over here, no shortcut. Make sure you substitute and do the working and show the work. Do you get it? Okay, so in order to get the full mark. So this is how you can use your calculator to get the summary statistics. So it makes your life easier. But sometimes in the exam, they should probably might give you the summary statistics directly. So in that case, you can directly work with it. You don't even need to use the cal. But most of the time, some of the time, you might have to find it on your own. So to find on your own, you can always use the help of the cal to get these answers directly. Okay, guys?